All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So there was a couple of quotes, comments that came out over the last 24, 48 hours here regarding the quarterback market. One with Aaron Rodgers and one with Derek Carr. Now, this isn't earth-shattering stuff. It's not like, massive, mind-blowing, like the New York Jets are zeroing in on signing so-and-so. It's not like that. Right, it's just small little tidbits of information, and I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. Is this anything that really we should look into, or is it just, it is what it is? So let's talk about the first one, Aaron Rodgers here. It's regarding the Las Vegas Raiders and their general manager, Dave Ziegler, who's recently on the podcast Bussin' with the Boys, and he said that we're in charge of filling the most important position on the team. There's some pressure that comes along with that, and however we fill it, it doesn't mean we're going to have an immediate answer this year. Okay, so again, small little quote here, but I do feel like it's important to talk about because it's coming from the Raiders general manager. It's not like reports per sources, all that kind of stuff. It's just coming directly from Ziegler. Now, I still believe that the Raiders are a big landing spot for or a possible destination for Aaron Rodgers because of where the Raiders at right now offensively. I mean, they have so many talented offensive skill guys with Renfro and Waller and Rodgers' former teammate Adams. Josh Jacobs is, of course, going to be a free agent, but the talk is that the team would love to have him back. They got two pass rushers in Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. The star power is crazy. Perryman at linebacker. They have a lot of players I love, quite frankly. We'll see what happens. Maybe a corner. Like, I still feel like they need like one or two big names on, or in the secondary. But regardless, the Raiders, as we all know, parted ways with Derek Carr. They're saving a bunch of money with that. The Raiders are now one of the top teams in the NFL in cap space, and with the pressure mounting already on Josh McDaniels and Ziegler to flip this thing around in Vegas, it could beg the question, hey, you know what? We're not picking first. We're not picking in the top 3 or the top 5. We're probably not going to land CJ Stroud. We're not going to land Bryce Young. We're looking at Will Levis. We're looking at Anthony Richardson or Aaron Rodgers. Of course, Jimmy Garoppolo's out there. He's another potential option. And this is something I was thinking about the other day. I think if I was a Raider fan, of course, Rodgers is super enticing. And, if he wants to come to Vegas, I would do it. But I do think signing Jimmy G to a 2-year contract and maybe drafting one of the developmental quarterbacks with the 7th overall pick makes sense for them because now all of a sudden they can come in, kick back, learn the system, grow physically, grow mentally, and really watch a guy in Jimmy G, a guy who knows McDaniel's system through and through, operate it at a high level. I think, again, if I was a Raider fan, that's something that I would look into. But we're talking about Rodgers here, and it really comes down to the pressure, right? The Jets obviously have a lot of pressure on them too, but it's like, if the Raiders are looking at their team, or if Davis is looking at their owner, Davis is looking at the team and they're saying, hey, you know what? Like, if we get 7 wins next year, if we get 8 wins next year, that's not good enough. We traded away multiple picks to go land Adams. We made him, like, we could go down the cap. Like, this team just goes after these big name players, just splashing, having these mega deals one after another, extending Max Crosby, again, bringing in Chandler Jones, Devontae Adams. Like, the expectations for this team should not be picking in the top 10, like picking in the top 15. It's playoffs. And I get it. They're in a tough division, the AFC West, but I think maybe that could push the needle a little bit in the acquisition of trying to get Aaron Rodgers in the building. But again, according to Ziegler here, just based off the one quote, it doesn't sound like there's that immediate pressure. Is he telling the truth? Is he just doing a little smokescreen here? Possibly, right? Again, it's not crazy news or anything. Just a small little quote I felt like was kind of cool to bring up. But we'll see how it plays out with Vegas. By the way, quick little rumor. There has been a lot of buzz surrounding Hendon Hooker to the Raiders. Apparently the Raiders are doing like extensive research on him. Maybe he's a guy that the Raiders can look at in rounds 2 through 4, somewhere in that range. But anyway, moving on to the next little comment here. It's coming from Frank Reich, new head coach of the Carolina Panthers, regarding Derek Carr. When asked about Derek Carr, specifically when Reich was asked about bringing Carr in for a visit, his response was, really interesting question. Apparently, he's not really ready to dive into the specifics of that. And I'm looking at that as a Jet fan, thinking to myself, like, okay, Derek Carr wants to make his decision by the start of free agency. Legal tampering March 13th. According to David Carr, maybe news could come out sometime around like the combine, that first week of March, like late February up to like March 6th, March 7th, somewhere in that range. But the one thing that we know for sure, Carr isn't going to be taking like weeks and weeks and weeks to make a decision here. It's not like news is going to break March 25th, like a couple weeks, before the draft or anything like that. He wants to have a deal done so he can help recruit players to his new team, which makes total sense. If the Carolina Panthers are still right now, late February here, if they're still up in the air on whether or not they want to bring him in for a visit, I think that puts the Saints and the Jets a step ahead, at least in the Derek Carr sweepstakes in the race, as far as just overall knowledge. You're not going to just, send Derek Carr a text and he's going to say, awesome, I'm in, let's sign. He, again, according to his brother, according to multiple credible reporters, he's going to do his due diligence. He wants to think this over. It's not just going to be a snap of a finger decision. It's not going to be something that he just thinks about overnight and then makes up his mind in the morning. Not at all. He wants to spend a lot of time, at least another week here. So if Carolina, again, stuff could change. Maybe Frank Reich flips his switch and says, hey, you know what? Let's bring Carr in for a visit early next week or something, or maybe later on this week. Maybe that happens, but for the new head coach of the football team to come out and say, I'm not really, he didn't really want to get into the specifics of that. Again, I think that puts the Jets and the Saints ahead. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it's not just like Carr visited the teams, but there's been multiple reports that both visits went extremely well. Carr loved both spots, and both teams loved Derek Carr as well. So either way you want to look at it, I think it's super interesting. And we talked about the Raiders doing extensive research on Hendon Hooker. Apparently, Reich and the Carolina Panthers, of course, this is just all what everybody's hearing. Apparently, that team loves CJ Stroud. And they're picking in the top 10. Maybe they're thinking about packaging some stuff up to shoot up to the top of the draft. Who knows at this point? Just something to keep an eye on. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.